Here we are with Richard Fogarty. How you going, Rich?
Good, buddy. Good. And you?
Yeah, good, mate. I was just trying to work out how long we've known each other, and I think it's about 28 years.
Bro, it's been a long time, man. Been a long time since the old pump days, bro.
That's right, pump. God. So just to let everyone else know, you and your crew were the first fighters ever trained. Yeah. So I was in Tamworth. I'd sort of just started in the industry in Corindai and sort of got a job in Tamworth at Pumps. And you and John and Mark Tyson, it was a wicked crew. Guys there and sparring, man. I used to get the shit beat out of me, so that was sweet. But man, it was great sparring there that you guys used to go through, and you had a good crew. It was only like 5 or 6 main guys, and man, you used to clean up at the titles, didn't you?
Yeah, well, there's only a small town when you talk about Tamworth back in the early 90s. Sort of there's only Johnny Horford, Mick Maisie, my brother Rob, and myself, and you, and really that's all we had even to sparring, because we wouldn't go to other gyms, because obviously other gyms wouldn't be sparring, or not like how we sparred anyway. But
no, and that's the thing. Like, I started martial arts as a young fella. But Kyokushin karate, man, that was.
I think that's where it come from. Is just all after Mark Tyson was the trainer, the sensei. Then that's where we all sort of got introduced and linked in together in Kyokushin karate. So
it was a tough form of karate, and certainly the best, I think. And Mark, he ran a real good, solid culture there.
Yeah.
And like I said, you guys went to events and just took out titles all the time. But talk us through your career, mate.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I was meeting Johnny Orford first in primary school, and that was in year 5. And then I seen obviously the one with red hair and freckles getting picked on, so I was getting bashed all the time. So I wasn't really learning anything other than to run, because I used to hate fighting as a kid. But Johnny, red hair and freckle, but he was the opposite. He was lacing everyone up at school. So I just thought, man, he's my friend. I'm sticking with him.
Yeah.
And then we lost really connection with each other for, I think it was a year, or may even been 2 years, because he went to Oxley High and then I went on to Tamworth High. And then it was one day, I think even when I went into high school, I was still getting bullied and bashed a fair bit. But I think it come to the time where I went to a tournament. I think it was like a kickboxing tournament. I think it was the old Workies Club. And John, I don't even know what the show was called, but John was the main bout. And then that's the first time I seen him after being friends with him at primary. I was like, oh, that's that dude I was friends with.
Yeah.
And then obviously we got talking, and then I said, oh, come along to karate, Kyokushin. And obviously his base was Kyokushin karate. So we went along. I went along to that, and then it pretty much started from there. It was sort of, instead of being bullied and bashed all the time, I was just really getting sick of all that, and I was always scared of getting bullied and picked on. So once I started learning from those crew, and those crew were pretty real to me. So even though you're just starting off in karate white belt or whatever, you still get your floggings. But it was in sort of an environment where they were your friends outside the gym, but inside the gym you just used to try and better each other by sort of a flogging.
Yeah, a good solid time.
That's why we're so good, because there's only 4 or 5 of us, but we would sharpen each other's tools all the time. Some would take a flogging, and then the next sparring session would flog them back, and it was just back and forward like wars in the gym the whole time.
Yeah,
and that's where it pretty much started.
You mentioned Johnny Holford, and man, he was a wiry lad as well. But geez, he could generate some force, couldn't he? He was well. I'm friends with Sam Solomon, and I've done some work with Sam. We've chatted about it because obviously they fought, and he said that John
but we so
more about back a but Daisy was fighting maybe over in Coffs Harbour, and we're walking along the street going to a few pubs afterwards, and I think you must have been about 20 metres behind us, 30 metres behind us, and there was a bunch of blokes that didn't really didn't know that you were with us, thought you were on your own, and they thought they'd pick the guy just wandering along with his head down, sort of kicking stones kind of thing.
Yeah.
And oh man, poor buggers didn't know what. And I'll be funny. It was myself and what was the other fella's name? Oh God, one of your mates. He unfortunately died in Mexico.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name. And
yeah, he was there, and and we stood back. We didn't even get involved because you, John and Maisie, mate, we're just toweling up. We thought that's unfair if anyone else jumps in. And there must have been about 6 or 7 of them. And you guys just and anyway, they sort of jumped in cabs and got away and that. But it was just one of those. We're laughing after going, how stupid were they? Like, you got these champion fighters just walking along, and because you guys are so wiry,
yeah,
they're
well,
thinking
it's just one, especially if you're intoxicated. Oh, who's this dude? And it's where we went. We all just I was sort of like. All that, but I wanted to try to care for third or second.
Mate, it's the real deal. Those Kyokushin comps, man. Like
when it's Kyokushin, it's just the knockdown Japanese style. So there's no time to sort of sit there and feel the aches and pains. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
But, no, that was probably my highlight because I always just wanted a trophy, and then going through.
No, good stuff. And there's so many things we can but like I said, we'll probably get you chatting a couple of times because there's so much we can chat about. But let's talk about you've been over to the training camps with Jackson Wink MMA, mate. That must have been pretty sweet to be working with those fighters.
Yeah, I was sort of going from Muay Thai and boxing and Kyokushin, and then once I was established up the Sunshine Coast, then I sort of had a couple of Muay Thai fights towards the end of my career, and then I don't know what it is. I just had that passion. I just wanted to stay in the game, and I didn't know to what degree. And then I sort of to and fro on, and a lot of spiritual stuff happened to me after I finished fighting, and a lot of things happened where it was something to do with the UFC fighter, and then all of a sudden the paths that I was trying to get to Albuquerque or trying to meet this person, doors just opened for the reasons to be. But Kyle Noak, who's one of my good friends and who I was doing striking with back in the time, he was living in Albuquerque, and he'd lived there for I think 6 to 7 years, and then he popped up on my socials, and we just started yapping, and I was working in pool company plus coaching, and I was doing all sorts of things on the Sunshine Coast, and then I sort of mentioned to him I'd love to come over and start training with him because I knew he was at Jackson's, and I knew this person who I was sort of, a bit of a spiritual connection to start with was there at Jackson's as well. So I was just like, wow, this could be a great opportunity. And that opportunity happened where Kyle sort of invited me across and said, come across and, stay with me. And I didn't have to think twice. As soon as I went over there, I was off. I was like, right, I'm going straight to Albuquerque. So I left the family and the kids and they stayed home. I just darted off. So that was amazing experience first to get over there and then be welcomed into the gym. And, I ended up doing like 7 years over there, traveling from Australia to Albuquerque, probably sometimes anywhere from 3 to 6 times a year, and established myself Winks as part of their family and part of the crew there, with all their fighters who I still know today, who we still talk on socials, and they follow me, I follow them, and you're just involved in each other's life still through social media. So it's crazy times over there.
And like, it's amazing, isn't it, the fight game where, back probably it would have been around about 95, boxing and martial arts over in Australia started to change because of MMA. So MMA sort of a lot of boxing and all that sort of stuff.
When UFC guys who are in frontline media, Muay Thai is just not that entertaining like the UFC or the mixed martial arts is. So it never really got that recognition where the UFC, they promoted that well, and then obviously the pay-per-views, all the money comes into it, everything else comes into it. So now it's frontline media. So when you reach the UFC, so to speak, the company on the TV, and so that's where it's overturned, and boxing had to keep up, or it would have sailed away it's coming back. Boxing always seems to do that. It goes, fires away for 10 years or so, and then on the biggest of highs, then all of a sudden all the fighters have retired or go. Then it sort of slumps down. Live because someone else comes through as a weapon. Up and down in generations, sort of decades in my views. But mixed martial arts, because it's such a diverse sport, and it's all now. The difference is because boxing was every month or 2 months, you would see one of the heavyweights, Tyson, go around. You'd see he'd fight every 6 months. They'd only really see it very rarely, but when you see everyone packed, where UFC's done it a little bit different, where they were shows nearly every 2 weeks. So you're on TV and you are the front line for mixed martial arts is.
I think what is better than any other sport was they did fair matches. They did even matches. So basically they had control over it. So we were seeing the dream matchups all the time. Whereas in boxing, we've got to wait until someone's got weaker and wants to take a risk, or no one wants to risk their own. It's a different culture altogether.
Yeah, that's what turned a lot of people off, because it's like you look at politics, you look at anything, you look at where there's a hierarchy, and obviously money is power. Then as soon as you start fixing things, or it comes one-sided, people lose interest. And that's why, the social media side of things these days, you get a lot of kids, and they see, you see some fighters who, some are real fighters and some are Instagram fighters, so it's very hard now to have the ones who want to dedicate their life for 10 years and reach the top of the game. Now it's all about how I can get to the top the quickest way possible, and so I can show and get more followers, or I can get more, that's what it's sad. That's what it comes down to, and that's why I say, even in Newcastle here, it's very rarely that you come across now true fighters that have got that hunger, that want to fight, want to fight to be champions. They don't want to fight to, just, I've got a sponsor, or I want to do this, or I'm on Instagram, I'm a weapon on Instagram, but then, get in the ring and they're not much, or the cage. So it's a very weird sort of scenario these days.
Yeah, mate, we hear stories all the time of people turn up to the gym, throw their bag down, take a selfie, and then go.
You'd be surprised how many times that happens, in regards to, the gyms that we have at the moment, but even the people that we deal with. It's crazy times, because we just have a sort of a motto that come into the gym, you can get a custom. It's a very
You also have some good young talent coming through there in the Norris Nuts.
Oh yeah, the Norris Nuts. The Norris Nuts, Biggie and Sabre and all that, man. They're pretty much what their name is, the Norris Nuts, mate. They're a crazy bunch, but away from all the lights and the glamour and YouTube and all that sort of stuff, they're just like anyone else. And when I'm training, I still put them through the exactly same as I put anyone else through. And they're just, I don't know, it's just good, because I see their love for each other. I mean, they compete hard against each other. Don't worry about that. They're out to kill each other. But at the end of the day, whoever's the winner, they all congratulate the winner. Now there's 6 of them. I think Disco, and then I think Brooke and Justin have had another one now. So I was training Justin and I were training ourselves like at 5 a.m. on Wednesday and Friday mornings before all this sort of coronavirus happened. So we'll sort of trying to get stronger and training with each other. The Norris Nuts obviously wouldn't get up 5 o'clock in the morning, a bit too early for them. But they do a lot of different things, man, surfing and dancing and skateboarding, and then Brooks, she homeschools them, so they're such I don't know, they're just such a great bunch of kids,
Yeah, and look, I had the pleasure of meeting them when I came up during their session, and I saw that it was great to see how competitive they were, but also how supportive. They really are the real deal in that respect as well. And I know, they'd never met my kids before.
You on 7 years old. You mean have only sort of like or 25s to 35s, and because you're the Norris nuts trainer, that's why she knew you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all right.
That's
So
it.
it's a bit weird when that happens and they want to sort of get photos because you train the Norrises. So I was just it's a bit out there for me, but I just do what I got to do inside the gym and have some fun with the Norrises. But they're a good crew, and it's all good. And I love if there's something where I can give a kid, even if it's a photo, I'm not nobody, but if I give them a photo, then they enjoyment or excited for the day. So it all goes around.
No, that's right. Well, let's talk about the fighters. So, who would you say? I know this is a tough thing to pull out because fighters are all very different, but who would be the toughest you reckon you've trained?
The toughest I've trained in any sport or
any of the fighting
any combat sport.
Yeah.
I'd probably say the toughest, and I've always classed him as one of the greatest of all times to me because I've known him for a lot of years, and he's been knocking people out for 20 years. And I'd have to say Mark Hunt is one of probably the toughest dudes going around. One of the nicest dudes going around, and at the moment we're in sort of a minimised fight camp at the moment for him because he's obviously they're going to see if they're fighting Paul Gallen or not on the boxing. I would say the tough. Even asking for the and some still he's hating. No, well, that's one. He's such a classic. I mean, get the wrong side of him, 100%. He's gonna light it up. But in general, just hanging out with him and being a friend for so long to him, I wouldn't. You wouldn't even think he's someone who's one of the baddest dudes on the planet. But
so what about most skilled fighter?
Most skilled fighter, I'd have to say, witnessing Bones, John Jones, back in the day when I was with Kyle Noak over in Albuquerque. Just seeing him train, being in with him training, just seeing what the guy can produce even by himself. I mean, his coaches are very good. Brandon Gibson, Winkle John, Greg Jackson, Tusa. All of them are great coaches individually and bring such a great diverse view of what they find would be good for John. But Bones himself, when he's told or when he wants to experiment with something, he can just go ahead and do it, and half the time pulls it off. And it's ever since his first fight that I seen back in the day was against Ryan Bader, I think it was back in 2011, and then just seeing him fight from then on, just demolishing dudes and everything else, was probably the most skilled fighter, as I'd say. I mean, it's disappointing how his legacy will finish now in regards to the outside the octagon things that are happening, whether it's the testing positive or not testing positive on Pixel, whatever they're called, hit and runs and, his drugs and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, people got to understand it's a hard thing. I not understand the cheating side of things. It's very, what a person puts in their body when they're at that level is up to them, and they should be more aware of it. Outside the gym, whether I know a few conversations that me and him had inside the octagon when I first met him, and he wanted to know my story and I got to know his story. There's only one thing there was a thing that stood out that only himself and I have spoken about, which I won't go into, but it's very personal and it's happened to both of us. And that, to me, I always think back that may be a bit of a drama that may be happening in his life, trying to be strong because of that incident. I'm not quite sure, but from conversations I've had, I'm just hoping he gets through what he's got to get through all the time, and he's got a beautiful family, he's got beautiful wives and great friends around him. But yeah, to be one of the skilled ones, I'd probably have to say he would have to be up there with the best for sure.
Yeah, good stuff. What about fitness? Who's the fittest?
Oh man, fitness wise, other than back in the day with Johnny Horford when I was with him, but even these days today, boxing. I had a boxer, Richie, he would have been one of the fittest. I mean, he fought I think Joe Camilleri back in the day when everyone tried to just write Richie Smith off, and we put him against Joe. I think it was Joe Camilleri, and he beat Joe Camilleri. Rocky Jerky back, when he wasn't sort of the toughest, but had the most skills, and he had to pick himself off the canvas like up on a fight in Brisbane. MMA wise, I mean, there's a lot of guys and girls that are fit these days because they have to learn so many diverse things. But yeah, in regards to who I'd pick out, who would be the fittest, I mean, outside of probably Jeff Fennick, who I would probably class as one of the fittest athletes, in the world. Strong guys and all around, in my view, at this point.
Now, we've done some work together in the past in mental health and a few other things with the young fellas and that. There's a lot of young fellas these days running amok a bit and losing their way. What do you put that down?
Firstly, I think it starts with the parents and with the households. I think, a lot of, as you can see, back in the day when the Roy Joneses, the Tysons, they were all coming up, why they were so hungry and why they were so hungry to fight and why they were so badasses when they fought, is because they didn't have those mentors in their life. They only come across those mentors when they walked into a gym. And then from then on, that father figure was the coach. And some made it, some didn't. But, if the kids, teenagers these days, and I've dealt with a lot of teenagers through our foundation, like the Ringside Youth Foundation, with schools coming in to the gym. It's everything. Single or together. I mean, I'm a single parent. I'm raising my two kids, and they're turning out good kids because I've set rules and I've sort of on that personal friendship level as well with them, and they know who I am and what I stand for. A lot of parents these days, when they split, the kids get left behind, and the worst part about it, the kid, it's like it's like nature when an animal's born and the yourself or set your child up with examples with that, from 8 to 12, and they get to 13 or 14 and they're off the rails, or it's hard to bring them back to get them to believe and get them to love someone or something, because it's gone. That time frame that we have for 4 years or so is gone. And I've mentored so many teenage kids, and their reputation or their relationship with their father or mother, or whatever it is. Sometimes it's very sad to watch and hear. And some parents have come to me and said, "Oh, Rich, I'll pay you anything to get my relationship back with my father." I apologise. I'm not hustler, but over my time and gone through as a kid, and I've just been lucky what I've gone through as a kid. I was just lucky to have my brother, who I've been very close with for my whole life, my father, my mother before she passed. We were a close-knit family, and no one got in between that family. And even though things happened to me, or, I never really said, "Oh, this is, the world's against me. This is, I'm giving up. I'm going to do something bad, or I'm going to go into the bad ways." I've just sort of, but it's not that easy for some, and some have gone through 10 times worse than what I've gone through. And you only just got to look at the news when in the Catholic churches back in the day, like some of that stuff. And then how can you have belief in that sort of system, the justice system, when no one's getting justice for the wrongs that they've done or they've hidden or whatever? they just get to walk free, and it's a sad world at this moment, and that's probably more important for parents to really stick tight and think that the child, because they've already lived the life, and what the parent says goes. They know everything. Where if you're open-minded and you're a parent and you still listen to your child, sometimes you'll be surprised how much you actually learn of what they know and what they have learnt, even in their premature time. And sometimes it's the parents who just has that, I know everything mentality, usually are the most distant from their children, because it's like anything. My child could come and go, I'll go, Jed or Dakota, you need to be doing this. This is how it's done. And I'll go, no, it's not, Dad. No, it's not. But then their friend will say the same thing. So it's you're open-minded, and I've found with my relationship with my children, raising them for the last 5 years, I want to always be on a friendship level. I always want to be a friend to my children, so we can laugh and giggle and carry on like kids. We're all 3 kids, but they know the line. If I raise my voice, or if I know a parent, and I've said it for a reason, how I've said it, or what I've said it for. So I'm very lucky that I've sort of gone through that stage where I've taught my kids, where I'm calling my son brah, and my daughter, princess, you're my sweetheart, and all this sort of stuff. But if Dakota does something, or Jet, and I'm firmly, Jet, that's not right. You disappointed me, and I never tell them that they're bad, or idiot or dickhead, or anything. That goes a long way to, disappointed. So I've got to then look at myself and how I can't let that down again. Or, there's certain ways you've got to use those words appropriately, rather than just hammering your kids. You're an idiot. I wish you weren't here. Or all this stuff that just kills them. And I see kids who parents talk to them like that, and their hearts, you can just see the welts in their eyes, and their heart breaks. Break my heart, someone I don't even know, saying that to their children, and the first I ever get, and they say, I had to say that, and I go, man, this is how I would have said it, And I try and advise, I'm not saying I'm probably the one thing no one ever wants to see in their children's eyes. So that's how my brother and I have been brought up, and that's our kids they know that, and I don't want to ever see that in their eyes.
No, for sure. Now, you've mentioned Robert a lot of times there. You are pretty tight.
Yeah.
Working together at Steel City. There's some great fighters coming through.
Mum used to be the engine room to our family, so wherever Mum wanted to go, all the boys had to move. Dad, Rob, and myself. So if Mum had righto, Castle in the 70s, we're going to Mathara. Off we go to Mathara. Going to Tamworth. Off we go to town. Kingaroy. Off to Kingaroy. We're going to Sunshine Coast. We're off to Sunshine Coast. even though we're like gifties. But I think that's how Mum was, you know, in her childhood, just always living away from her parents and on the go all the time. But in saying that, the Sunshine Coast, once we sort of moved. He was like, yeah, I live down Newcastle. So, yeah, wife, and she said, oh yeah, well, you know, we'll move down there. You get established in Newcastle. I'll move to Tamworth, and then we'll come across after 12 months. And so that fell apart in that way. I still moved to Newcastle. Kids are in Tamworth, and then then when she decided to move back to Sunshine Coast, and the kids come over to me to live. So everywhere we've gone, it's just been really now it's the gyms, promotions, sports memorabilia, and lots of different coaching that Rob and I are all in together. Even the punting, you know, we do professional punting on the side, so we're all in that together as well. So I don't know if I could do anything. It'd be a very strange feeling for me if I had to do anything with. Some people envy. So